We moved out of the country of Georgia, where the governing party agreed to withdraw proposed legislation on foreign agents Thursday after facing pressure from protesters. Tens of thousands of people gathered outside Georgia's parliament in Tbilisi. This week, the bill would require organizations to pay steep fines or register as foreign agents if 20% or more of their income came from abroad. Stephen Jones joins me for more. He's the director of the program on Georgian Studies at Harvard. First question, why are protesters calling this proposed bill a Russian law?
They're calling it a Russian law because it's very similar to a Russian law that was passed in 2012 by President Putin. And it's similar in its intent to silence civil society activists.
How does this, we know what the driving force then is behind the legislation, but how does this potentially impact Georgia's bid to join the European Union?
Well, now we know, of course, that they've retracted the bill, but originally it was a bill that clearly went against, as the European diplomats themselves put it, the values and the norms of the European Union. This was a direct challenge to the ideas that the European Union supports, and it would certainly have seriously restricted or contained the Georgian government's attempt to join the European Union.
Georgia and Russia, of course, fought a short war in 2008 that ended with Georgia losing control of two Russia-friendly separatist regions. Talk more about how Georgians have reacted to Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
So the Georgian people support Ukrainians' attempt to reject Russian forces from Ukraine. The Georgian government, on the other hand, has taken a rather cautious view, arguing that if they get involved, then Georgia would be involved in another war, which they don't want. Of course, they were invaded by Russia in 2008. So their argument is that if they restrain themselves, they don't take any, they don't impose any sanctions against Russia, which they did not, that this would save them from potentially another conflict with Russia. That's the argument, but it's, in my view, it's not a realistic one.
For those who want to say Georgia and Ukraine are the same thing, how do you feel about that, and why might they be wrong?
Well, Georgia and Ukraine are not the same thing. Georgia's war only lasted for 5 days, not for, as we've seen in Ukraine now, an intense war for over a year. But on the other hand, Georgia was in some sense the first attempt by Russia to impose its rule on a neighboring country, and that was in 2008. So there are similarities there, and both of these interventions by Russia reflect an attempt by Russia to recreate Russian power in Eurasia. And both Georgia and Ukraine, of course, have been the victims of that.
So what's next now for this bill and the protest movement overall?
So the bill's been withdrawn, which is what the protesters wanted. It is a defeat for the Georgian government. It's going to make them think twice about attempting any similar action in the future. The law obviously was problematic in terms of the Georgian application to join the European Union, but at another level, this law was also anti-democratic. It was specifically directed at Georgian civil society, and it would have certainly restricted freedom of speech in Georgia. It was, in that sense, an anti-democratic law, and that's why I think the protesters realized they had to stop it.
Okay, Stephen Jones, director of the program on Georgian Studies at Harvard. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.